Oh, hey, it's you. Welcome back to the Black Pill. Professor Blackpill here. Let's talk about rolling disclosure. Rolling disclosure, deny everything, admit nothing, make them approve every statement against you, every truth claim beyond any standard you'd ever have for your own team. We'll roll back around. This isn't really about 6 day creationists, but we'll roll back around to them. But like their standard of evidence is someone wrote it down 6,000 years ago, but they'll hold you, your scientist, to this absurd standard of evidence that just isn't. You can never prove things to their satisfaction. This is a lawyer's tactic. My client didn't do it. All this evidence is trash. Here's a bunch of spurious claims. Let's muddy the waters. So you make some false claims and never admit they're false until there's absolutely nothing else to do than minimize the evidence. That's rolling disclosure. Let's say you were a former president of like a school board or something, right? And someone accuses you of doing a bad thing, maybe bribing porn stars or making a sexist statement on a bus while the mics are hot or something. So this thing is coming out, right? It's coming out slowly in pieces, drip, drip, drip. Now, a regular guy, he gets in front of this. And he goes like, look, you're going to hear some words that I said. I said them. They're bad. I regret it, blah, blah, blah. But a fascist is going to prepare the ground a little bit differently. I didn't say that, right? Truth isn't truth. I didn't say it. But sir, we have your voice on tape with, let's say, William Butch, for example. Oh, I never heard of him. Who is that? Some kind of liberal Marxist plant, I bet. Well, here's photographs of you with Mr. Butch. Lots of them. In fact, you seem pretty chummy, or you were holding hands, at the barn raising, whatever it is. Oh, that anyone can use Photoshop. Fake news. Then a million people have the tape, right? The poll numbers are slipping. The evidence is mounting. Truth will out. Here's more witnesses. Then it goes to, I could have done it. If I wanted to. It's not even a crime. I could have, but I didn't because I don't have to do stuff like that. I'm so rich or whatever as the school board superintendent. But the evidence mounts. You definitely did it. Okay, I did it. In fact, I'm the king of doing it. But it's not illegal. And you've had that part of the claim out there for so long. Some of your supporters or fans or teammates or whatever, they believe it's true now that it's not really illegal, or it's illegal but no one's ever been prosecuted for that before, or whatever. The Brigaders Brigade on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called now, and the X's and the Twitters and the Truths and the Chans. But now it's super, super solid that you did it, and it's a crime. And here's a list of people who have been prosecuted for this infraction before. Then you go to, okay, I did it. It isn't legal, but you can't prosecute me for it, right? I'm special. I have immunity. But then we're in court getting fingerprinted and there's a jury. And in court, all the arguments on social media and all the interviews on fascist TV, OAN and Fox and stuff, they mean exactly dick. Verdict is shaping up guilty, and then you go to, it's a witch hunt. So yeah, Dems have done it too. There's the dude with the name that's a synonym for a dingus who got caught showing said dingus all around the internet to like waitresses in Utah and stuff, Okay, sure. But one team does it a lot more. Like, not as a self-defense tactic at the far end of a spectrum or a process, but like as a basic tactic, because they don't have any real arguments to present. So this is like this is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro's a Christo-fascist, which is a really interesting choice for a Jewish dude, He makes these claims on like the Joe Rogan show that black crime is a problem of personal responsibility, right? If you're poor and in the ghetto or something, you have to individually make the choice to do better and be better and not pull a gun in this moment. And that's the only thing we could possibly do. We couldn't like work on the fact that there's no jobs in the main economy, and so people get dragged into the shadow economy whether they want to be there or not, and people are pulling guns on you because of Republican policy that puts guns in New York City, even though New York City tries to ban them. The Supreme Court refuses to allow any action on that, and the gun laws are weak in, say, Florida, for example, and so there's a ton of illegal guns in New York that came out of Florida, whatever. All of that, like policy, forget it. It's personal responsibility. This individual young man has to make an individual choice in this individual moment, you know. And so he goes on Joe Rogan or something, and Joe Rogan is, I mean, I don't know if he's stupid or not. But he certainly plays a stupid, average, lumpen mass dude on his program, right? He'll make these weird, weak pushback arguments against a guy like Shapiro, which ultimately has the effect of making Shapiro look like he has a point, like it's a 50-50 issue, you know. Joe Rogan doesn't know enough to do more than make it seem like Ben Shapiro has answers. But then Shapiro makes those claims in a debate with someone who can argue with him, like Ezra Klein. And Shapiro pretends to be a rationalist. He's actually a lawyer, and his client is Christofascism. But to protect his credibility as a reasonable person who goes to facts, and facts don't care about your feelings and whatever, he has to admit that Ezra Klein is right about race. And he's totally wrong. Ben Shapiro totally wrong, and admits it in public. And I'll try and remember to link you the debate that I'm thinking of, where he totally loses and backpedals and concedes every point ultimately to Ezra Klein. But then he goes back to making those same claims in public, because who even saw the Ezra Klein debate? You know, he can just make you prove it all over again, trusting nobody has the time or the background. That's rolling disclosure. You go, prove it, right? Prove every element to a stupid standard of evidence no one ever demanded before. Then start over from the very beginning in every new forum. Arguing with creationists is like this. Go, spend some time in their forums, you know? Take some antibiotics first, but, you know, here's this disputed bone. But, like, that's a hoax from 1870. We've known it was a hoax since 1870. We haven't relied on that for our claims about evolution, you know? Okay, but here's 97 science papers about it, okay? Your objections aren't based in good science. That's not how radiometric dating works. If you can beat them down with facts sufficiently that you can move on to the next bone, they haven't conceded this bone. But you beat them down and you move on to the next one and have the same fight for the next 2 years about this bone. And now we're arguing over a chromosome that split in half somewhere after we diverged from chimpanzees on the evolutionary line. But they'll just never admit that they were wrong about the previous 150 years of science that led to this argument. They'll just split hairs forever and never accept evolution. This is called sea lioning, where you demand evidence you'll never accept anyway, just to waste the person's time, you know? There. The point ultimately is that we're always at the beginning of every argument. So we can never make any progress. We're always at the beginning of arguing about gun control, at the beginning of arguing about abortion, at the beginning of arguing about climate change. So I keep having to explain climate change and evolution to every new crop of students. So we're never talking about policy or solutions or anything. We're way back at the very beginning. And look, man, students come into my classroom with these right-wing ideologies, and they've been trained to think of me as some sort of weird left-wing political guy who's an identitarian who's out to like tear them down and oppose Christianity and stuff. And so they just don't even stay in the class. They don't even have a chance of ever being exposed to any information. They run back to their weird little 8chan forum or something. There we go. We're always at the start. Racism is real. Vaccines work. 5G doesn't give you cancer. But we can never talk about anything important because we're always stuck in these stupid doom loops. These aren't accidents. They're tar pits built on purpose by the alt-right to prevent any real discourse. So that's what? Rolling disclosure. That's rolling disclosure. I'll have some cute graphics for you by the time it's done. Okay, bye.